We are going to take a look at Vivaldi Browser. It is the most feature-rich browser that I have found. It is based on Chromium. JavaScript rendering engine is the same as Chrome. Therefore, it is different from the Firefox JavaScript rendering engine based browsers. Assuming you've downloaded and installed the browser after having checked out the features if you'd like on their website, you'll have a fresh browser. You can have profiles, select an avatar, name it. We'll name this Alien Machine AI Profile. Welcome to Vivaldi. Let's go. You can select a color theme. The positioning of your tabs. A unique feature is the native support for this bar, tab bar on the left. You can have it on the right, the bottom. You can select if you want to block tracking and ads. I always just say block using Vivaldi, even though we are going to block using extensions. We're going to take a look at some extensions we can add as a main part of this video. Just go through these. We're making a fresh profile on which we will adjust the settings next before getting into some extensions. And there are lots of features of this browser. On the right is this bar, vertical bar, with extensive customized menus compared to any typical Chrome-based browser. This is based on the same technologies, but it has all this customization natively. It's an open source. I am not sure to what degree Vivaldi's open source. I think it's open source besides the proprietary JavaScript rendering engine bits that we were talking about. And that is what the browser monopoly war is over, actually. The JavaScript rendering engine differs. There are internals that differ. Google is orchestrating the development of even the open source components of Chromium. They're still being directed by Google. It's a monopoly for them to have such a large market share over the browsers. And the aspect of concern is the JavaScript rendering engine that will turn your JavaScript code into rendered user interfaces. And one more thing before we go ahead, I want to show this feature. Add web panel is very, very useful tool. You can add your own link to any web page and have both links open. So if we have a Confi server, because we focus here at Alien Machine AI on stable diffusion, artificial intelligence, like Confi UI, or any other software that runs in a web UI, you can have that in your web panel. I like to have Comfy in both. web panels have an example workflow on one side and my workflow I'm building from scratch, as I do in other videos, build comfy workflows from scratch you can check out. It's a very useful technique to have both sides of this filled with separate comfy instances. There are a ton of options in Vivaldi. It's very feature rich, and you can adjust almost everything compared to other browsers. This has way more options, and we're going to take a look at just some main quick ones we can pull up and notice right away before I can go on a deeper level later and have every little last thing adjusted. There's tons. So let's just start out with the main ones, so that while you're browsing, while you're researching, we have the main ones set. So we're not like giving up data we don't want to give up or something while we're or giving up privacy related stuff while we're researching docs about these settings or something. We don't want to not have even the basic settings at that point. You want to get just the basic settings. So we want Vivaldi to be our default startup browser. Check on startup default. Start page or specific page. For the home page, we'll keep the start page. I also like to use the Garuda Linux page, which has links to some useful services they run. Startup with last session or just the home page, etc. To save time and not lose our sessions, we want last session. Always load pinned tabs. Load pinned tabs before they are activated. If you have pinned tabs, but you don't want them to always activate when you don't know it, and you have opened the browser, but you don't know you forgot you had the pinned tabs, this will keep you from always loading the pinned tabs. Exit confirmations, it's to taste. If you get upset with clicking the button for exit confirmation, you can adjust that. And I am looking now at the language and translation settings with artificial intelligence. We're in a war with our adversary China. We need to have the ability to translate pages, automatically offer to translate pages. Make sure your language is set for the user interface and that you have your proper language set for the languages here before going forward. Vivaldi has integrated mail, calendar, and feeds. You can choose this in the setup screen to have this enabled or not, but we will leave it not enabled while we get the settings set up. If you want to sync, you can sync with the Vivaldi account. We are not showing that today. We're not going to sync yet. We want to get the base of settings perfect before we use any additional features such as that are going to distract us before we even get the base going. Appearance section. Let the website choose automatically light or dark unless you have a issue seeing things with certain levels of contrast, either direction or some other accessibility issue. I leave it at auto. Because some websites are optimized around one color scheme, some the other. Forcing dark or light might not be ideal in some situations. You want to have the developer decide which color scheme they're optimized for, unless you're having an issue with a particular site. Open settings in a tab. I prefer open settings in a tab, so we're going to click that. Open pop-ups and tabs. No, we want to just block pop-ups, essentially. Animation, yes, we have RAM, we have CPU, we can have animation. We're not limited. Buttons and range controls. I think that you have better granularity of control with the button or the slider method. And what it's referencing is the zoom. This is easier to work. So we're going to use not buttons, but the slider. Native window. This is a setting that is always something I wonder, what does native window do? That is one that is less obvious. So let's take a look. We're taking a look at what is native window. We're just looking real quick. Okay, it is going to allow better integration with the OS. So we are going to enable use native window to have a better integration with the OS. Show title bar. I want to show title bar because I have a screen that has real estate. I want to be able to know what page I'm on in the browser. So we'll show the title bar rather than have that little extra clean space. I'd rather have the title bar today. With all the tabs open, switching between tabs, we can see what page we're on with one glance. use simple scroll bars. I prefer the standard scroll bars, but if you prefer simple scroll bar look, you can try that. If you end up having some issue of lag or latency, you could try different settings for appearance. A lot of this is to taste. We are going to go into the extensions after we get this set. User interface density, regular is easier to read. User interface zoom. I like to adjust upward slightly, especially so my viewers can see the text better. If any issue with your page happens, you can easily use that slider adjustment and adjust the user interface zoom from any page on Vivaldi. Status bar. You can see on the bottom here is a bar. I keep the bar. It has the zoom and other links. You can also customize the bar. And I'm going to give it the horizontal menu positioning so that these buttons at the top are explicitly defined with text. I don't have to click anything. I can see what's available to me. I do keep Vivaldi icon, so I know I'm in Vivaldi and not in a Firefox with a similar theme or something. I can see I'm in Vivaldi there. Okay, so we're just going through a bunch of settings. It's going to take a second, but you're getting an explanation on the vast amount of options. Some are obvious, some are less obvious. We will look at the themes, pick a theme to taste, and you can make your own themes, import themes, very robust theme system. Here's the theme editor integrated. You can put themes on a schedule for day and night or manual schedule, have different ones for private. You can even use a smart lighting system, Philips Hue theme integration. Start page section. Start page navigation. Show on pages that have the speed dial or the dashboard. Not every internal page. And this is to taste. You will have to try one, switch it, try the other, see what you prefer. You can adjust the columns for the dashboard according to your screen size, zoom level, and your eyeballs. And these options for speed dial are corresponding to all of this. And Vivaldi has new features all the time. So this all changes and you have to learn. Maximum columns I'll put at 5 so it's less cluttered. Speed dial size, I use scale to fit columns. These others will leave as they are. And go to the tabs section next. In the tabs section, I choose the left tab bar position. If you prefer a traditional workflow, you can have it at the top. Once you get used to it on the left, there are benefits. And I think it leaves more screen real estate for you. If you want the custom new tab page, you can define a specific page or click home page and have set the home page yourself. This is tab settings, where you want the new tab to show up. Memory saver. Free up memory from inactive tabs. So when a tab goes inactive, it will kill the tab. Let's use automatic memory saver. This way it'll be hopefully a little more intelligent, a little more optimized than saying 6 hours idle, but it's not just disabled. Here's a good feature. You can have thumbnails of your tabs all show up here on the left in the tab bar. It will show a screenshot of the tab. We're going to leave that for right now. Selected. That's to taste. If you have very many tabs, that's not always the best option. But if you have less tabs, you want to visually navigate between them, that's a good option. We're still in the tabs section. I like display close button for the tabs permanently option. Select that. I'm going to select dim icon when hibernated so we can tell when things are hibernated or not. Display tab cycler as list. We're going to try that option to give us a different option because we selected to display these tabs with the screenshot. It makes the tabs larger. We're going to use this tab cycling list, which we can also select switch tabs by scrolling, and it will let you go like that and scroll between tabs using your mouse. As you can see, there's a ton of options. Just go through, Get the main ones like we are right now. Set your pin tab settings. Workspace settings. Can leave those as they are. Adjust the taste. Not essential. The panel side can be swapped, which refers to this panel, not the tab bar panel. Show panel toggle we want to have enabled. We'll let you toggle it on and off at the expense of a few pixels space. The address bar, I like to select show full address. I like to select QR code generator. It will automatically generate a QR code for you to get to any page. Even if that page isn't explicitly giving you a QR code, you can use that to natively have a QR code generator without any plugin or extension. Okay, domain expansion. When you press Control Enter, this domain will be automatically entered. I am in the habit of doing that. For .com domains, we'll have the Control Enter shortcut enabled using the domain expansion option. We already have made a new profile. You can have different profiles with Vivaldi. Each one has different settings, different extensions. You can see here extension visibility. This lets you select which extensions on the bar will be visible when you toggle to hide them. Do you want all of them to disappear or only the hidden ones? We're going to enable the drop-down menu for hidden extensions, so when they are hidden, we can still access them with the drop-down menu. As a security feature, we will enable the HTTPS always use secure connection feature, which will be sure you are using an HTTPS connection, regardless of if you entered HTTPS manually into the address bar. This will force HTTPS for you. And there are extensions we'll use which also probably do that to whatever extent. It's best to have all of this native. You need less plugins, less extensions with Vivaldi. We'll just want some privacy ones to block things and to reduce our fingerprint. Bookmark section. Open bookmarks in new tab. Select that so we're not opening bookmarks into the tab we're in and losing our tab. Show bookmark bar. Yes, I like to have the bookmark bar so I can see things. Having it all in front of me makes it easier to think. If you're low on space or you have a lot of bookmarks, you can have just the text or just an icon. I'll have both for now until I run out of space. Default search engine, I change, and I will change it today to DuckDuckGo. You could also try startpage.com, others, or keep it as Google if you like Google services. I prefer to use other services until the other services fail me and I have to run back to Google with my tail between my legs and beg them for good information. Beg the AI gods for good information from their AI as we, engineer our AI stable diffusion systems. Okay, you can see it's taking a while because we have so many options here on Vivaldi. Search options. Keep type text after searching. That can be useful so you're not losing what you're doing in the middle of it. Always search in new tab. I use that. I'd rather close a tab out than lose the page I'm on. I wanted to open a new page. Search suggestions. When you use search suggestions, with every keystroke you take, it is sending those keystrokes over the network to retrieve your search suggestion results. That is less than desirable in my opinion, so I don't use search suggestions by default. What is direct match? We don't want direct match. It is going to bring you to a site directly. If you attempted to search for something and it matches the name of a site, it is going to bring you to it directly rather than the search engine. That's not what we want. We want traditional behavior of whatever has been defined, which in this case we're defining not to have the direct match. What is defined is that we will have the search engine we defined open up. DuckDuckGo is a more privacy conscious company. If you want to take the time to study and learn quick commands, they're here. You could deactivate quick commands as needed. This is the kind of thing you need to know the command, the button combination. Without knowing it, they're not much use, and you could accidentally activate them, or else they're just bloating your install to have them activated and ready to work when you're not intending to use them ever. Keyboard options, keyboard shortcuts. Extensive keyboard shortcuts, macros, and things for anything you want to do. The same for the mouse. The mouse on Vivaldi allows gestures such as back, forward page, history back. See, it's indicating you go like that to go back if you're using gestures. This is another thing. It could be just bloat and distraction if you don't actually know the gestures. I'm going to not allow gestures today because I am not using gestures. Allow rockery gestures. We're just going to turn off the mouse gestures unless we were going to use them. Here's something juicy. The privacy and security section. This is something you might need more help with compared to the other ones, which were more to taste or self-explanatory. Asking websites not to track you under tracking prevention section is something that can be a hit or miss option. It's up to the website to follow that directive. You can ask them through the browser not to track you, but they still can and do still track you with various methods. Selling, trading your data from multiple sources and then aggregating it, and they'll have a full picture of everything even though they're following the rules. They can aggregate multiple sources. It's just a mess. We're in a dystopian future. So we're going to look at tracking prevention. Block ads on abusive sites. Turn off. Block hyperlink audit tracking. We will turn off because we will use the trace extension, which will offer some of these tracking or all of these tracking prevention technologies. We don't want the settings to conflict, so we're going to turn off that and use trace, because trace will, even though we like the native integration from Vivaldi, that's good, but trace will allow us to do a whole mess of tracking prevention. Broadcast IP for best web RTC performance, you actually want off. Unless you're doing streaming really hardcore and you really need WebRTC performance optimized on another level, this setting has been known to leak your IP when you're on a VPN. It will leak. It can be a backdoor leaking your IP when you're on a VPN to have the WebRTC performance option activated. And we can see here Google services. We want to have, as I said, turn off, block abusive ads. These as well. Just block anything Google, because this is going to use DNS blocking things on the DNS level, which means it's going to connect to Google servers with every site you visit and give them what site you're visiting and your all your data in the server logs, automatically generated data. They can't avoid generating it. It's more work to avoid generating it than to just let the default settings exist and to generate the metadata. So phishing and malware protection, we actually want off. We are not going to get phished or have malware because we are going to download only from legitimate sources, and then we are going to check the hash checksums, SHA-256, SHA-1, MD5, etc. All these hash types ensure that we have a file that's not corrupted or modified or distributed by a third party, which is malicious. If we have a legitimate software, we have a legitimate source, and the hashes match and everything lines up, we can be sure there's most likely not a virus. This is why we use open source software and tools like cryptography, which is what allows us to use the hash sums. We will leave Web Store. Meet was Hangouts. I will, for now, disable Meet because I am not using any video conferencing with Google. But we want to install extensions. So they are forcing us into having Web Store component in the browser. And this is where Google looks like they're having a monopoly because they're forcing everyone into using their proprietary product line. Search, security. I do search in the address field for ease, but that's not as secure. It's giving keystrokes potentially. So if you want to be able to type a URL without it searching and giving your keystrokes to the search engine when you're typing a URL, you can adjust this accordingly. Suggestions. We're not going to use suggestions under search in the privacy section. As I said, suggestions are giving your data before you even send it. Before you press enter, your data has been sent. The typed history is useful to have in address field and search field. You want to clean your data regularly as needed if desired, to not have a huge record of every little granular search thing you put in stored on your computer. It's traversed over the network either way, but it doesn't help to have that stored if you have browser cookies that are able to, or JavaScript code from some other site, even a cross-site scripting issue. They can obtain your history if it's stored incorrectly. So you can have this on or off if you remember to clean your data. If you have data cleaning when you close the browser especially, you can have this on. That's to taste whatever ease or privacy you need. Okay. And related is the save browsing history. I'm going to set save browsing history to 1 week. It's a fraction of the 3 weeks. Or 3 months default. I don't need 3 months of browsing history necessarily. And I would even go so far as to have this browsing history, the cookies, and all that data be deleted automatically when you close the browser window. Because cookies can access other cookies. They can see the history that you've been to other sites after the fact by looking at the other cookies behind the scenes that we have no idea what the cookies are doing unless we dissect them. So we just assume the worst. Crash reports. I don't send crash reports unless I support the company or I'm having an issue, because it can send data that is unknown. You can send your history. And I'm not doing anything, nefarious or something. I just don't like my data being mined and being the product of some $1 billion entity. And that is why we are worrying about the browser monopoly war. I believe they've actually been sentenced to break up the Chromium browser monopoly recently, and here we are. Blocking level. Leave this blocking, even though we'll use uBlock Origin Lite extension. The next sections, save web page passwords. We want to deselect that. And what you want to do is use a third-party password manager like Bitwarden or XCPass for an open source one. That way we're way more secure when it comes to our password managing aspect, and it's cross-platform, cross-browser to have these other systems like Bitwarden, which will have it in the cloud, or KeePassXC, which will have it locally, but you can transfer the database between systems, potentially saving the database to a cloud service of your own. It will be encrypted. Unchecked save and fill payment methods unless you want them to. I don't want them saving my private card numbers. And I won't even let them check for saved payment methods. I can select the button on the page. I don't need that level of convenience where it's an invasion on my privacy because I'm lazy. I'd rather just click a button. It's a reflection on where we are today in society. Save and fill addresses. No, I won't save that, and it's third-party cookies. This can cause things to break, such as a shopping website or a bank. Could have an issue with third-party cookies. So I'll leave block in incognito mode only. What we do is use no script, uBlock Origin Lite, other tools, and block using that. And some of these settings just conflict when you have multiple blocking mechanisms. You don't know which one is blocking at which time, and it can become a mess. Downloads section, a few more sections, and then we'll be done with the overview of Vivaldi Browser Settings, and can look at some basic extensions next. You can choose your default download location. I'll leave this at the default. You want it to ask what location you'll save it to, because we'll often be saving things to a Comfy models directory, and if we save the model directly to that Comfy UI models directory without saving it to the downloads folder first, it's way quicker to transfer the file later. You'll have to transfer it one less time, and when it's a large file, it can take a few minutes to transfer around all over the disk. So you want to make sure on the web pages settings section that we have hardware acceleration enabled to ensure our Comfy UI and web UIs will run on the highest, best possible level. Prefetch. We're turning off prefetch data so that it's not prefetching DNS resources generally and loading pages before you even click the link to them. This can make things quicker or seem quicker when you're browsing, but it is loading in resources you're not even using. It could go loading in things you didn't intend to click. So we turn off prefetch resources. Default web page zoom. It can be adjusted to taste depending on your screen size and eyeballs. We'll leave it at 100 so we don't get any distortion or broken pages right now. I like to have the PDF viewer can be enabled for now until I get a better PDF viewer setup on our Ubuntu Studio. But we do want to consider the Widevine plugin. It is a proprietary plugin. If you want to use in particular Tidal music streaming service, leave enable Widevine plugin enabled. It's proprietary. It allows you to use that service, which provides higher definition streaming. To use the web interface for Tidal, you want Widevine plugin enabled. You can change the font size here on the web pages settings section. Okay. Here's the user agent masking. Just leave it as Google Chrome. You want everything to blend in to whatever the largest number of people are using. So you can just have Google Chrome. Mail, calendar, and feeds are all benign. They're turned off. I don't use feeds, so I'm going to turn off detect feeds and web pages. And that was our look at the settings of Vivaldi and an overview of Vivaldi. Next, we will take a look at the extensions that we want to install for a basic bass on Vivaldi Browser.